Well, a good Friday afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another edition of Cory Comments On. I'm your host, Cory McKnight, and you can find me here every Friday at 2 and 5 p.m. only on allwesternnewyorkradio.com or in the Google Play Store on the All WNY News and Radio app. Go ahead and download that. You can listen anytime. Maybe it's not Friday afternoon anymore. Maybe it's next week already. Getting ready to do a new show. Shame on you. You should be listening live, Fridays, 2 and 5 p.m., allwnyradio.com. Anyways, moving on. Today, it is a very cold, blustery, snowy, and chilly Friday, April 6, 2018. Absolutely hate it. I think we're going to have another full week of really cold temperatures here in Western New York, even moving into next week. What the fuck? It's supposed to be spring. I don't know. I guess I'm used to it now after 29 winters, but you never really get used to it living here as a lifer in Western New York. But it's okay. Whatever. I don't care. It's going to be spring eventually, right? Right? I don't know. Anyways, so much to cover, so little time, as usual. Now just doing a weekly show. I used to be 3 times a week, and I would get some little topics here and there. Now I kind of save everything for the end of the week because lots of interesting stuff is always going on in Western New York, and I want to talk about all of it, but I just don't have that much time. So let's cover a couple of these key topics, and I'm going to get into my main topic in 1 second here, but I just wanted to give a quick shout-out before we start. Of course, for the national day of the day, that we always got to do that, it's National Student Athlete Day. Which is a really cool one. I've been doing a lot of reporting on student athletes for allwnynews.com. Go check that out, too. Posting a bunch of articles about Buffalo State, University at Buffalo, Canisius College, all kinds of student athletes, even high school maybe once in a while. And I enjoy doing that. So National Student Athlete Day today. Shout out to the student athletes, the ones I've been covering and the ones that I haven't. You're all amazing. Deserve the honors. Love student athletes. Anyways, also, another quick shout out to the Buffalo Sabres. But this is a bad one. This isn't like a good shout out where you shout out your homie on TRL, if you guys remember that. This is a bad shout out for the Sabres being technically the first team ever to finish in dead last at 31st place in the league. Now that we have an extra team in the Las Vegas Golden Knights, there's an extra space for the Sabres to suck even more and drop into 31st place in the league instead of just 30th. And they're going to finish dead last. They have a couple more games left in Florida. They are playing tonight in Tampa Bay, and then I believe they face the Panthers a couple nights later, maybe the next day. Who cares? They're horrible. Please, Sabres, please. Can we do something in the offseason to not finish in 32nd place if Seattle is introduced into the league in this offseason? I don't think it's going to be this year, but once Seattle comes around to the NHL, the Sabres could finish in 32nd. God, I hope that doesn't happen. Another quick shout out to Sinclair Broadcasting, another bad one. Fuck you, Sinclair Broadcasting. There is a viral video going around on the interwebs of tons of local TV news reporters from all over the country reading off a prepared statement from Sinclair Broadcasting that is literally propaganda by definition. And one of the local reporters in my city, in Rochester, caught a lot of heat for it on Twitter. Norma Holland caught some pretty, like I said on Twitter a couple days ago, some fair criticism and some immature criticism over this prepared statement. Of course, she was one of hundreds of reporters that had to read it. They all had their jobs on the line. I mean, that's what they said anyway. You either got to read the statement or not have a job anymore. And I guess I can understand that. We've all done stuff at work that we didn't want to do just to get through the day, but this one is dangerous because the statement, you got to go see the video. Just look up Sinclair Broadcasting. It'll be the first thing that comes up. They read about a minute and a half prepared statement where the big push for it is that there is an attack on our democracy through unfair media practices. And they're practicing unfair media practices while pushing out this statement and having the reporters read it. I don't understand. 1984. All over again, George Orwell. Read it if you haven't, because it's coming. It'll prepare you. Last shout out, Jersey Shore is back. Another bad shout out. I hate the Jersey Shore. Everybody should. It's back. I know nothing about it. I just heard that it's back. So I wanted to say, fuck Jersey Shore. Don't watch that bullshit. Anyway, big topic of the day. Let's not waste any more time getting into our local topic of the day. The best one, the best local topic, in my opinion anyway, for Western New York, is hearing about embattled court judge Leticia Estacio back in the news again. She never really leaves the news. I haven't covered her in a while, a couple months at least, But there hasn't been like anything too crazy going on with her. There's always like routine check-ins with how crazy she is and like what she's doing, but nothing too crazy since she got in an altercation at a bowling alley a couple months ago. Now we got some hot news coming on the Estacio front. Last week, Judge Leticia Estacio was given a pay raise. A pay raise. Now, that's not all that uncommon for a court judge to be given a little bump in pay. They have a tough job, right? They're stressful. Gotta, literally judge the lives of people every single day. But that's for your good judge. Judge Leticia Estacio, that's your bad judge. This is not the one that you want to be in front of, even for a minor violation, because she's fucking batshit insane. And I think we already know that from some of these other stories I've reported. Excuse me. She was given a pay raise, though. And the thing about this is that she was given a raise after working exactly 1 day out of the last 214. Let that sink in for a moment. Excuse me, once again. She has worked 1 day of the past 214. That's a lot of days. And she went in and pushed some papers around on that 1 day, which is all they want her to do. She's not on the bench or anything. But before that day, on February 27th, was the last time that she worked. She hadn't been to work since August before then. Really? I wish I could take that many days off and still get a raise. That would be amazing. I think anybody would agree with that. However, it was part of a 2015 agreement for her to get a little bit of a bump in her pay, along with a lot of other judges in the district. Had nothing to do, this was before her DWI arrest, of course, so it has nothing to do with any of that. It was like a prearranged agreement, but people are still fucking outraged with good reason to be. Why is she getting more money to not work? Why? She already makes so much, over $100,000. It's going to go up to like almost $200,000 with this pay raise. I think it's like 187, it said, per year. That is absolutely crazy to work 1 day out of the past 214. It's a long stretch. It's a nice vacation, though. The best part of this story, right, as I lose my voice even more, so we're going to wrap this up quick. Days later, Judge Leticia Estacio, after getting her pay raise for not working, waltzes into a local Dick's Sporting Goods and casually attempts to buy a shotgun, which she was denied the sale of. Of course, she's on probation. Not allowed to own a firearm while you're on probation. What is wrong with this lady? What is she thinking? How did she think she could get away with that? And good on Dick's Sporting Goods for denying her the sale of that shotgun. They won't really say exactly why. Just said store policy reasons. They didn't really want to get into it. Didn't really comment too much. And neither did the deputies that showed up there to arrest her either. Didn't really comment too much, but clearly, when you're on probation, you cannot own a firearm. Judge Leticia Estacio walks into Dick's and tries to buy a shotgun while on probation. It just keeps getting better. The story never ends. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Judge Leticia Estacio, don't ever change. Please continue to be crazy. Because I like reporting on it, but don't buy any guns. Don't try to buy any more guns. We got to keep the guns out of the hands of the mentally ill, right? Isn't that like a big talking point for people that are kind of like anti-gun legislation? Keep the guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. I don't think we should take them all away. We don't take all your guns here and get into a fucking NRA discussion out of my cold, dead hands, Charlton Heston discussion. But we want to keep the guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. Here is a prime example. What a perfect example of keeping a gun out of the hands of a mentally ill person in Judge Leticia Estacio. She is crazy, and she seemingly does this shit just to stay in the news and keep her name out there. And I've said that before. I think that really is a big part of it, is her ego and narcissism coming into play, in that she's doing these outlandish things to remain in the news and remain relevant. Although she claims that Rochester is focusing on her too much in the media and that they have nothing else to report on, so they just pick on her. Bullshit. Bullshit, Tish. Get your fucking act together. Actually, don't. Go be crazy somewhere. Don't be a judge on the bench anymore, judging people's lives when you can't handle your own. Please, please, and thank you, Tish. There is a petition on change.org to have her removed from the bench, oddly enough. Well, maybe not oddly enough, appropriately enough. There is a petition with 30,000 signatures to remove her from the bench, and they're aiming for 35,000. Change.org. Search for Leticia Estacio. Go sign that petition. I beg you. If we can get to 35,000, maybe something will happen. Probably not. We all know how petitions work. Peaceful protest? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. What do you think about this whole thing? What do you think about any of the topics that I've discussed on the show today? The Sabres being terrible. Jersey Shore being terrible. Sinclair Broadcasting being a fucking Big Brother eye watching you like 1984. Or, of course, Judge Leticia Estacio being batshit insane. What do you think about any of this? Hit me up on Twitter at allwnycory, and we can talk about any of those topics, especially Tish. I love her. I'll talk about that all day long if I could. But we'll have a lot more to cover next week on the show for Cory Comments On. Thank you for joining me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit me up on Twitter at allwnycory. We'll talk about whatever. But until then, join me next Friday on All Western New York Radio at 2 and 5 p.m. for Cory Comments On, and enjoy the rest of your Friday today. Stay warm, everybody. Stay up. This is Corey McKnight signing off. We'll see you.